Mortal Kombat.
We're just gonna say every wrong classic theme song we can think of. We started with Batman, now we're going into Mortal Kombat.
At least this time I knew it was wrong.
Whatever, it's a thing now.
Hi, I'm the Spider-Man from the universe where there's no legs. We're all just floating torsos. Just orbs. The spiders, insects, I don't know the difference between the two. They're all no-legged weird bugs. Annie.
Oh, I want it to be Man Spider.
You can be Man. That's a good Sunny and Philly joke.
Isn't it like Man Bat and he's an actual DC hero villain character?
Why do I give a shit about Man Bat when Man Bear Pig is out there eating my children?
He has his own children now and a wife.
Minty. And this is Fun Time where we serve every podcast for an FU. Now,
our last episode ran too long because Annie doesn't shut up about things and goes on millions of tangents.
That's what's interesting. That's what makes us different from other people. I will say, we spent too long in the beginning being like, what does Spider-Man mean to you?
And also trying to figure out Across the Spider-Verse. I don't think we clarified that both are really amazing movies.
Oh yeah, they're really amazing. So much, some might say it's decisive which one is better. But we're here to tell you which one is better, aren't we, Minty?
I think you meant undecisive.
Oh, I always get the word confused. No, it's indecisive which one is better.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you, Into the Spider-Verse, number 1, baby, is the better one.
I like the Across the Spider-Verse.
And today we're going to fight which one is better. First off, let me say my opening argument here.
I say.
People of the jury, we've all come to Spider-Man expecting to see Peter Parker. Now, which Spider-Man movie? Well, I say which one had more Peter B. Parker?
That's your opening fucking
That's
statement?
my opening statement.
The movie's about Miles Morales, you stupid piece of favoritism slut.
Now, I say, Judge, I hear slander from the opposing side. You say a better opening statement if you think you can do better than me.
One, the movie's not about Peter Parker.
You go on opening statement. You can't. There's no time for counter rebuttal. God, you never been in a debate.
Across the Spider, I've been in one debate, like one formal school debate.
Yeah, but you've been in a lot of debates where you timed it. I know you did.
That's different, you nut.
You've listened to it.
I barely. I just needed the community service hours.
Because you went to prison.
For beating someone up for the slander. Or biases, I guess, in this case. Across the Spider-Verse, although it's only half the story, has much more stakes and tension and interesting characters, stealing Annie's line from the ending of our first episode, than Into the Spider-Verse could ever have. Despite Into the Spider-Verse having more Peter B. Parker. What does the B stand for?
Ben.
Nah.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, we knew that.
Wait, but he was alive.
Yeah, well, you can name yourself after an alive relative.
I don't think so. That seems weird.
Now, Across the Spider-Verse might be more dramatic, but it would be nothing without the foundation. And quoting something my opponent has said, it does not feel like a complete movie now, does it?
Stupid son of a...
I think Into the Spider-Verse is a self-contained story. Everyone had their character arcs, everyone got their resolution. We got to see this young boy, this young man... go from trying to fit in this environment and fulfill his expectation. And you know what? You know how they solved his expectation of going to a prestigious school, being ripped out of his hometown and into like a bougie place? They give him more expectations.
I did think that was a little bit weird for Into the Spider-Verse to have, of like no I guess well actually that's his character growth, right? You're not just a bum. You're a person with like ambitions and dreams and responsibilities.
Now, so you can't just keep living your life just being a friendly neighborhood kid. You have responsibility and expectation. You are destined for great things. You better not finish that line, Annie. Don't you do it. That's a reference from Peter B. Parker.
Oh my god. Your only argument is that Into the Spider-Verse is Peter B. Parker.
And the fight scenes was more creative.
Whoa.
Fighting against Doc Ock and that Scorpion Man and getting that hammer out of hammer space. But Across the Spider-Verse, when it was just Spider-Man versus Spider-Man almost the whole film.
You think the fight with Doc Ock is better than the fighting scene of Peter versus thousands of Spider-Men, or women, I guess, people, animals, items?
It's just Miles running for most of it.
But like through different environments and having to like fend off people.
No offense, Miguel looked like a little bitch in Across the Spider-Verse.
I mean, he did, but I'm not saying Miguel's the selling point of Across the Spider-Verse.
But he's the antagonist.
Depends on how you define antagonist. I guess, yeah, he is. He's not a bad guy. It's like, you're a bad guy, but you're not a bad guy.
You gotta say it in a Russian accent.
No.
We are bad guys, but we are not bad guys.
That's not Russian accent.
But I guess the spot was kind of creative. A little headache-inducing watching the spot.
I like the spot as a fighting scene, not as a character.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's annoying as hell. That's so annoying when it's like, you took everything away from me. Like, dude, you were doing bad things and you knew it and the gamble blew up in your face. Don't blame it on somebody else because your gamble didn't pay off. And don't tell me it was just a fucking job. Oh, I'm sorry your family won't look at you, but that's their fault.
Into the Spider-Verse, you got to see, like, them pushing the limit and boundaries of these Spider-Mans using their powers. You got to see, you know, Miles use invisibility, electricity for the first time. You get to see, like, Hobo Spider-Man, like, you know, being, like, professional, but then compared to Ballerina Gwen Stacy, got to see Neon Genesis Girl doing her best.
Neon Genesis Girl.
The Porker got the anvil. I'm not sure what the Noir did. I think he did a lot of punchings. I don't even know why Nicolas Cage agreed to it.
If they made a spin-off movie of just the sidekick Spider-Mans, which one would you watch?
Yeah, that's dirty. To be fair, Hop didn't even have an interesting way of fighting, if from memory.
No, but he's clearly smart. To be fair, I actually really don't like Hob.
Really?
I don't like those pretentious characters who think they're so much better than everyone else that they don't follow the rules and they have to state it as well. They're like, I'll do it, but not because you told me to. Like, shut the fuck up.
What I don't get is that, I get he's smart. I can believe that. I don't get how he knew that Miles needed to use his whole palms for the electricity and this his fingertips. Because he doesn't have electric powers.
Maybe it's just kind of a no-brainer. More surface area, more power.
And from what I can tell, you know, he had a little thing in his intro where he fights Nazis and he's from a newspaper. Like, I think he's supposed to be like, you know, in an old-timey Britain Spider-Verse.
I will say, that annoyed the shit out of me too.
He's British?
No, the visuals of him constantly changing. Like, when he finally just being normal, that was fine. But like him always changing colors after like a second, it was like, just like, what are we doing? Are we inducing seizures into the young now?
Did we not learn anything from the Pokemon Polygon episode? And a lot of people applauded that. I can't believe you didn't like that.
Nah, it's just too much.
Yeah, well, I didn't have an
a series
opinion.
that has a lot of color. And okay, what I love about Across the Spider-Verse, and they did this way more than Into the Spider-Verse, was that they made the colors matter. And they made the backgrounds not be solid, but to kind of match the emotions of what the characters were going through. And you can see this a lot, especially with Gwen and her dad. And so I felt like colors and the imagery means a lot, and the shifting of it was supposed to be like changing of tone. But for him to do it just for fun just felt like, what the fuck?
This might be controversial. You know, when Gwen's like talking to her dad, like, you know, when he first finds out that she's Spider-Woman?
Yeah.
I thought the background changing really drastically was really jarring to me.
What?
I understand going from the rubble to like a more abstract space so you can focus on the characters. Don't get me wrong, I get that. It's just the background was constantly changed to become something completely different every other line. And then I was just like, I'm someone who like, I have a hard time focusing on what should be focused on. Like some scenes, I guess, kept looking at the half tone that like outlined the head. Like I should be looking at the face, shouldn't I? But like, so that scene, I'm like constantly looking at the background. I was like, oh shit, it changed again.
It's supposed to invoke emotion.
I do like how Gwen Stacy's world seems to be more artistic. I gotta make sure I really emphasize artistic and I won't say another word by accident.
That is true, huh? It does only really happen in her world.
Yeah, they said the animators that they want to do that, like each word kind of had their own like animation or like art style. That's why when Da Vinci Vulture came, like when he did an attack, like
No, I mean, I got that
Yeah,
part.
and
I realized in the world was also gonna be like, because you don't see anyone else's world melting.
that's true. Fun fact for the Nouvelle York that they had like the main spider capital in, which I'm like, hey, if you're in an actual world, because I thought this is a world that like blipped out of existence, but it seems like this is a real world with real people. Isn't anyone wondering why there's 1,000 Spider-Mans running around?
Yeah, you know, I thought it was like, well, okay, first five, I assume Nueva York is maybe Miguel's original.
Oh.
And the one, you know, like the one when Miguel died is the one that blipped out.
Yeah.
Two, I did not understand that that was the society either. I didn't realize, like when you saw people in the cars, I was like, oh, I just assumed this was just all Spider-Mans driving around.
See, that's why I assume like in the world that's blipped out, that would be like free real estate for a spider universe because literally no one's living there.
No, that's not how it works. It's not like the people got evacuated.
I thought this became a white void where they built a town in it.
Well, okay, because if we're going to talk about Neon Genesis, right, who did the exact same thing, right? Like you go down an elevator and there's a world that's upside down.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I was like, the fuck is this? It really makes no sense why it's like that. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does. Because then what does the elevator go up to? You know, like when they were driving the highway up?
Yeah.
Where does does it go? Where did you guys even come from?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Messed up, yo. You know what's weird too? There's that scene where Miles was going down like that weird chute with the gears and they're all chasing him, and then that's how he entered like the real city. So like, but he fell to get to the real city. So does that imply like the gravity works differently in
I
this
don't
world?
know.
Okay. See, that's another thing. Into the Spider-Verse, you don't gotta ask a million questions how this universe works.
Into the
'Cause
Spider-Verse.
there's only one universe, baby.
You could be a tomato and understand it. Into the Spider-Verse, no, again, both are like great movies and the flaws are minimum to minute to nitpicky, right? Because who honestly really cares about like the timeline of Across the Spider-Verse,
Oh yeah,
right?
who cares?
Like you have the story of Miles Morales, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the main thing.
It's like a suspension of disbelief, you know?
Right, like, and you can hold it for Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse, you don't have to do it because a dead tomato could understand Into the Spider-Verse.
And sometimes that what makes the movie great is that anyone can understand it and not just a film critic being like, yes, I understood this because I know all the Spider-Man lore.
I'm not saying Across the Spider-Verse is like The Godfather or what's that Citizen Kane type of movie, but it's just like it has more drama and stakes into it.
Okay, talk about the drama and stakes. You think that these 5 Spider-Man who's going to die is in any stakes, and I say, why aren't they stakes?
And I mentioned this in either the first episode or this episode, but I'll say it again. It never even got close to that point.
Well, they were still like glitching out. They were clearly in pain.
But it never affected anything. Maybe they lost their footing, but other than that, what did it really do?
How about the fact that like it entered that stake of they couldn't do it without Miles, without one of them dying permanently? Because if Miles couldn't get his shit together, then Peter B. Parker was going to die.
And that's fair. That happens, right?
Yeah. But Miles, he's like, I can't let another Spider-Man die. So he gets his shit together. That's his motivation.
But compare it to like what happens with Miguel and how he's talking about a world actually died.
Yeah, but
And we're not repeating this history.
we talked about it definitely at a great length, so we'll just sum it up here in one sentence. We don't understand the rules of how they lose a universe. Because we don't understand why Miles is an abnormality, but they never tackled him down, you know? They never, like, got rid of him immediately. She should have been easy to get rid of. But they just kept letting him live his life and being like, hey, now you get your own canon events. It's like, well, is he an abnormality or not?
That's a good question. My assumption is that he is, so that way he can save his dad and not need canon events. Also, is he like the only Miles Morales?
Yeah, you would think Gwen Stacy could just find the Miles Morales in her universe.
Well, no, my question is like, Miguel was like, get Miles Morales. And I'm like, but there's gotta be more than one Miles Morales.
Maybe he is the only one there because he's an abnormality, that there is no other Miles Morales that became a Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Oh no, it's
No, there's other Gwen Stacy's.
I was gonna get into that. Like, you know, you have like that one black lady. I'm sorry, black lady. I don't think I heard your name. You have that one Hob Brown. I forget what his name is. Can't be Hob Brown. That's racist. But everyone else, there's like 90 Peter Parkers and like maybe 10 other people with different names.
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
That name makes no fucking sense.
If you look in them like running around, you do see MJ Spider-Man and Mayday Spider-Man walking around.
What?
Yeah.
There's other Peter Parkers that bring their wife and child to work?
Or they're the ones that became Spider-Man. She's the one that gave the spider seed to the child, not
Oh,
Peter.
God.
So, just to get back on track, Into the Spider-Verse, simple. Stakes there. Miles Morales, I think he has a better character arc in Into the Spider-Verse, and I know you're like, who cares about character arc? And like, hey,
No, I think cat dog's important. Why would you say that?
well, just because like there's nothing to like harp on, because like Across the Spider-Verse, no one has any character arcs except Gwen Stacy.
Sure.
Because Miles doesn't have a character arc in Across the Spider-Verse, correct?
I think
He'll get one in the second one.
I think it'll be concluded in the second one because I think the story arc or the character growth is like the trusting of family. Because Spider-Man almost never trusts anyone.
He kept losing everyone. How can you trust anyone?
Right, so that's why Miles Morales does the opposite, in which he's gonna tell his family.
I think it's very unfair when people gave Gwen Stacy shit, being like, don't tell your parents, they're not gonna understand. And it's like, well, Gwen, like, you're a white person, you can leave your parents. Like, we can't leave our family, we're POCs. It's like, hey, you're being too harsh on Gwen Stacy. It went really, she came out to her father and she left on very bad terms. And apparently that's a canon event of coming out to your parents. But yeah, so better contained story, better contained character arcs, and I think the emotional beats between Peter B. Parker and Miles are a lot better in that movie. And I know you're like, oh, you're making it about him again. It's like, well, because like in that that one, he actually was important, you know?
You're talking a lot about containment, which is unfair to compare to Across the Spider-Verse, which is clearly a one-part movie.
It's my literally only thing I have above Across the Spider-Verse. There's literally nothing else I can say, because obviously Gwen Stacy was more fleshed out in the second one.
Oh, sure.
So please let me have it.
No, I mean, it's fine. I do...
I don't want to shit on Across the Spider-Verse. Don't get me wrong here.
No, yeah. How do I say... I want to say this in a very, like, non-slandering way to your character. But when you judge a movie, you base a lot of points on comedy. And Into the Spider-Verse, let's be fair, was a lot funnier than Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse had its moments, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of hilarity with, like, Indian Spider-Man.
I like that one where the spot, like, you think I'm just a joke. No, we don't think you're a joke, right? Everyone says, like, no, you're not funny at all. It's like, I don't believe in comedy. Just kidding.
That's stupid. But I mean, actually, yeah, Gwen Stacy's story was kind of resolved in one movie.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Right? Because the idea was like, she couldn't come out to her dad, she had to, she left. But in the end, he was like, the only way for him to upkeep what he believed was right and to play by the book, he had to leave his job. Which makes me wonder, what did you become?
Well, he quit that minute. He didn't actually quit yet. So he could still walk.
No, I thought he quit. He said he quit the moment of her that great speech?
Yeah,
that great speech right then and
in
there?
the middle of her speech
Oh,
there.
I thought it was...
No, not the first one.
No, I thought it was the great speech when he found out she was Spider-Woman.
No. And this great speech that minute. That's why he still had the captain badge. He just goes sleep in his captain badge without being captain?
I don't know. I just assumed that wasn't the badge. Because then I'm like, okay, then you didn't really quit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Gwen Stacy left, but he could have walked to the police station and get, like, crushed on the way there, like, by a piano. Because, like, a villain from Peter Parker came and dropped it on him.
No.
What are we doing with our lives? Trying to debate which movie's better.
We have to debate. We had different opinions.
You know what sucks for you? You really could have leaned in with the fact that the Side Spiders was better than the Side Spiders Into the Spider-Verse. Because
here's my problem, though. Like I said in the end of the first episode, I didn't give a shit about any of the side characters. Because again, they're all just plot devices to Miles Morales and a little bit to Gwen Stacy. A little, not a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I always think of, like, anime.
Yeah.
Where Naruto and My Academia are both such character-driven stories. It's about Naruto, it's about Deku. Everyone else is just white noise. It's not an anime like Bleach, where you have to care about everyone. Because it's not really Ichigo's story.
It's not.
Let's be fair. He's a very reactive character, so then you kind of attach yourself to other characters, and they have their own stories. While like in Spider-Man, going back to this, they don't really have their own story. So to me, they're just all the same white noise. And I could have used that as an argument because Annie you really like Hobin, the Indian Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, and I like the Black Lady. I think it's cool how like the webs goes from each fingertip.
Nah, I don't care about that.
I like the little details, you know. You could say there's a better plot twist in the Across the Spider-Verse because that's something Into the Spider-Verse. You kind of knew everything was gonna happen, you know. You enjoyed the ride, but you know, like there was no way, spoiler, that you would have known that in 42 because there was no Spider-Man that Miles became the Prowler.
It's not really a plot twist though because it doesn't change the plot. It's just a weird event. You know what I mean? Like a plot twist is like, oh shit, the guy who's a good guy is now a bad guy, and that like changes everything. It doesn't change anything knowing that Miles Morales is Prowler in Earth 42.
It could be kind of like just like a story twist and just like he was sent to the wrong universe though.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Well, again, not a plot twist.
Still twist.
It doesn't change the plot.
Fuck that white woman who's like, oh my god, when the mom wasn't getting it, who knew Spider-Man? He's in the wrong universe. And I was just like, yeah,
wait, is that when she understood?
Yeah.
Wait, like that woman then, who's your neighbor while watching this movie, was smarter than me because I didn't understand until Gwen Stacy said it.
Oh.
Basically, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was very confused on like why she was like, she doesn't know Spider-Man.
You had the common decency of not talking during the movie, but
I would rather stab myself than ever say anything during a movie.
Because I knew, you know, obviously because I keep looking at the damn 42 because I never look at the proper things. But, you know, like, oh, they scanned his eye and extended the world 42. It's like, no, he's from 1606. Goddamn. Stupid ass machine scanning the DNA of his eyeball instead of who he is as a person. Which could be another metaphor for Miles.
That's a good point, yeah. Like, also, okay, this is a weird scene. Kind of bothers me a little, but not really. How does Miles Morales know how to work the go back home machine?
Well, he's supposed to be a genius still, so I think he just, you know.
More so than the Avatar girl?
You know what kind of pissed me off was she's like, I can't stop it. And it's like, well, why can't you stop it?
That's exactly what I mean. And why didn't she reboot it?
Because she looked at Miles and was like, you know, not a lot of black Spider-Mans, is there? And Miles like, there isn't. And they both fist, and then she let him go.
Honestly, if they had that kind of moment, then I would be okay with it. But they literally just had like lingering looks at each other.
Hey, I think she knows what's going on. Like, I don't think they kept her in the dark. So I think she kind of knows, like, hey, like, even though I'm like the guy in the chair here, I do know what you're trying to do. So you're just trying to do good things. You're not trying to do anything bad. And it's not like my world's going to get endangered. So bye.
There needs to be like a civil war of the Spider-Man society of like, who's right, Miguel or Miles?
The Avatar girl, she joins Gwen Stacy's elite police force at the end to save Miles, right?
Does she?
I think so. I think I saw her there.
That'd be ridiculous.
I don't remember, unfortunately.
That would be stupid.
Obviously, we see the new friends and old friends, but I think I could have sworn I saw her.
That's stupid if they do. What's the point?
Also, won't everyone else blip once they go to the wrong universe and not really be helpful because they don't have watches of their own?
Maybe they do have watches.
Oh, I don't. If Peter Parker has a watch. I guess Penny's on the team. I guess she can help.
I think literally every Spider-Man was invited except Miles because he's an abnormality.
Oh.
That's why, like, what happened? You saying there was a small strike force? I was like, ooh, actually, just you are not invited.
Fun fact, that really funny scene that I laughed too hard at, but like, thanks, Lego Spider-Man, you're one of our best.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
That was animated by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he animated a lot from the first Spider-Man movie. So they like, hey, can we hire you to
Hold on, you're gonna tell me that they saw a 9-year-old animate Lego and said, 5 years from now, we're gonna put that shit in a movie.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe he was 14 at the time. And he's
that could be more realistic.
And he's 19 now.
Now, I'm not saying a 9-year-old can't do it. I'm just saying I need sources. If you're gonna tell me it's a 9-year-old, I'll just believe you blind if it's 14. But 9? Show me this genius.
Okay. Before I will say Miguel is better as a villain than Kingpin.
Any villain's better than Kingpin. What kind of low standard is that? Why is Kingpin even a villain? Just to have a Lex Luthor version for Spider-Man?
Someone to afford. I don't know why they couldn't just keep it like as Doc Ock as the villain. I don't know why we need Kingpin. I guess like for that silhouette, that sexy box silhouette.
Maybe so Doc Ock could be a lesbian.
And maybe moving to Florida.
Anyways, go with your closing remark.
My closing remarks, because just like Into the Spider-Verse, I know how to wrap everything in a clean bow.
Wow.
Yes.
Your movie technically ends with a cliffhanger.
So Spider-Man, we all love the origin story of Spider-Man. That's why we had to see it redone. Or maybe the third time by now in a cinematic situation.
You're supposed to your closing remarks, not mine.
Yeah, because you know why we keep seeing that story? There ain't nothing wrong with that story. We like that story. The whole Uncle Aaron was a nice twist. Every single character had a nice role except the 3 shitlings. In that movie. I know this is my closing remark. It took me out of the fucking movie when I had to care about Penny Parker losing her dad's robot.
I did think that was a weird thing to have when you never talk about the dad. I'm like, do you have a close relationship to your dad? I have no idea. I guess I was supposed to know when you said, and for me, that was my dad. Which is weird because it's never the dad.
I hate Penny Parker. You had one anime character and you do the fucking speed racer shit.
Oh my god, it's like super generic, almost to the point of being like prejudice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying racist because there's no hate behind it, but
no,
it's just come on.
It's weird anime stereotypes. And then, come on, you have the money and artists to do actual real anime. Because I didn't understand, like, she was all upset that, like, it, like, died on her. It's like, bring it back home and fix it. Ask your friends to help you push it in the portal. Because you're the first one that went home. They could have helped you towed your car. And then you could have fixed it at home.
Put the robot in neutral and we'll all push.
But, yes. Also very upset when Uncle Aaron died from one gunshot because I guess Kingpin had like the strongest handgun in the world.
Let's be fair though, he probably made the Prowler suit.
Kingpin?
Yeah.
No, I think Aaron made it.
You think Aaron made it?
I think he was a villain. I think he made himself the Prowler and then Kingpin hired him. He wasn't just like, hey, you seem like a nice, up and coming up villain. What if I bought you a suit?
I don't know. How did Doc Ock get the money to make her suit?
But like, damn, he should have had like a fucking bulletproof vest. Someone should have invested in that. Got the claws, the motorcycle, the hammer. Not hammer,
oh,
the shoes.
Maybe that's why it's not Kingpin, because Kingpin would have spurged on the bulletproof vest.
Well, I digress.
Like always.
I will say, in my last sentence, there's a lot more enjoyable scenes in Into the Spider-Verse if you count by quantity. But meanwhile, in Across the Spider-Verse, there was a lot of exposition.
Closing remarks for Across the Spider-Verse. I don't think I did that good of a job in the beginning and middle.
Like, you really came to your stride at the end?
I like to say so without saying it. I think story writing wise, Across the Spider-Verse has more to it because it doesn't have to deal with the introductories. Like, you know the characters, and they kind of like minimized Gwen Stacy's story, but they made it very beautiful to look at, and so it's easy to get the impact. But I think, as I've already said, that because of the stakes of the whole universe being destroyed, having a history, and then watching these three storylines of Miles, Miguel, and the Spot kind of dance around each other to weave this story of belonging somewhere, right? This whole movie has a big theme of belonging. You see it with the parents, you see it with like in the beginning, does Miles stay in Brooklyn or does he go to Princeton in New Jersey to study dark matter and quantum physics so he can travel the multiverse to obviously go find his friends? Because the first movie talked about you're not alone, and then the second movie is like bringing it together of like finding that place that you belong. But it's not just gonna hand it to you, it's gonna make fight for it. Like, is he a villain? Is he a good guy? Is he out of the scene? Is he the main character? It just like, it plays around with this a lot, and you just kind of want to root for him to continue being the main lead of the story and see him fight through every obstacle, every label to become who he has to be, which is the actual and only Spider-Man of his universe. I think that went pretty well.
One thing before we close off. Why was Gwen Stacy so angry in the beginning of the film?
I think, again, it's that story of belonging. Like, she never belongs in a band. Spider-Man never belongs with people. They only belong with other Spider-Man. That's why in the end of the movie, she's like, I have my new band. Losing the loop.
That's what the age-old debate. Which movie is better? But we all know the answer is Beyond the Spider-Verse is the best. Hands down.
Probably, right?
Until next time, signing off.